Imagine a world without cities, without technology, without names, without the sound of engines. Just earth, fire, stone, and the instinct to survive. This is the story of the first humans. Not a fairy tale, but a true story from 2.8 million years ago. Time where one small mistake could lead to death. And one bold decision could change everything. What did they see? What were they afraid of? And what exactly did the girl discover in the forbidden forest? This story isn't just about survival. It's about the beginning of everything. A wild, brutal, and enigmatic lifestyle that we may not fully understand today. Watch until the end, and if you think there's a hidden meaning to what they experienced, leave your thoughts in the comments. Because who knows, their traces might still speak to this day. The East African sky was red, as if burned by the sun slowly setting behind the vast savanna. A dry wind swept across the dusty ground, leaving behind it the pungent scent of grass and the sweat of roaming wild creatures. Among the thorny bushes and sharp rocks, a pair of eyes peered out from beneath the low branches of an acacia tree. His name has never been recorded in history, but that day, he walked, slinking slowly, carrying a sharp stone in his right hand. He was sturdy, not very tall, thinly furred, with strong jaws and watchful eyes. He was not a human like us, but he was part of our story. One of the first. Around him, a small group was gathered under a towering tree. They were silent, watching the sky, as if waiting for something. A vulture swooped low in the air. It was a sign. A large carcass had been found not far away. In an instant the ancient man ran, followed by 3 others. They headed for the open plain, where a large antelope lay dead, abandoned by a pack of hungry lions that had had their fill. But they didn't have much time. In just a matter of minutes, a pack of hyenas will arrive, ready to take everything. Diaming Gankit Batayong Dibawanya, Mengayan Kanya Kutulong Rizik Bangkai. Swara retaken Mengima. Karas Menta, Dan Sungat Kuno. Patongan Tulong Terbuka, Dan Marika Mulai Meniantap Sumsumyong Kaya Lemek, Sipat Dan Rakus. Tanganya Berlumurandara Wajanya Koter, Tapi Sorat Matanya Puas. Hiu Bukanhanya Sol Makanan. Itu Adala Kemenangan. Kemenangan Pertama Hari Itu. Naaman, Kebisingan di Kijahan Mengentikan Semuanya. Simak Bergoyang. Tarayakan Yering. Bukan dari hyena, bukan juga dari singa. Tapi dari kelompok lain. Manusia purba juga. Mereka datang bukan untuk berbajai, tapi mirbat. Ketegangan memenkak. Bata di tangan berubah menjadi senjata. Dunia purba tak mengenal hukum. Hanya naluri, kekuatan dan keberanian. Tak ada tempat untuk yang lima. Hanya yang terkuat dan paling nekat yang bisa bertahan. Saat dua kelompok bertemu di tengah padang dara itu, satu hal jadi jelas. Ini bukan hanya perjuangan melawan alam, tapi melawan sesama. Sebuah pertarungan hidup dan mati demi sepotong tulang dan seserka harapan bertahan hidup. Kegelapan mulai turun. Tapi kisah mereka baru saja dimulai. Night fell quickly over the African land. The sky was filled with stars, but it brought no peace. Only the sound of insects and the distant howls of wild wolves filled the air. A small fire burned, flickering unsteadily, surrounded by figures hunched over, still as if they were living statues. In the center of the circle, the man who had broken the bones was still awake. His eyes stared into the flames, as if conversing with something unseen. Beside him an old woman, wrinkled but with sharp eyes. She was the keeper of memory. Every wound on her body held a story. Suddenly, a scream came from the bush. A boy ran hurriedly, his breath ragged. His hands were covered in blood, not his own. He had just seen the cold body of one of their group members. His throat slit. Not by an animal, but by another human. The body had been found near a water source, a sacred place they often visited at dawn. The fire burned brighter now. The faces in the circle grew tense. They knew this was no robbery. This was a warning. In the ancient world, there were no threatening letters, no harsh words. Only wounds and blood were the only means of communication. The man, whom his group called leader, stood slowly. He pointed to the sky, then to the ground. An ancient gesture that meant one thing. The journey was about to begin. They had to move. The world was too small for two hungry groups. And battle would soon ensue if they didn't move. But that same night, someone disappeared from the circle. A young woman known for her bravery and solitude. She hadn't returned since the afternoon. Some were convinced she'd gotten lost. But the old woman said quietly, almost in a whisper, that the girl had followed a voice. A voice from the forest, from the direction of the setting sun. Everyone fell silent. They knew the old legend. That sometimes, ancestral spirits call through whispers in the wind. But it could also be a trap. No one knew for sure. And no one was brave enough to pursue it that night. The fire continued to burn, but a chill began to creep in. Not just from the air but from fear. That night, none of them truly slept. Dawn had not yet broken when silent footsteps began to move away from the fire. The leader, accompanied by two young hunters, followed the faint trail left in the wet ground. Small footprints leading southwest, into a dense forest they had never entered before. The forest was more than just a collection of trees and shadows. It had a sound of its own. Branches creaked even though there was no wind. Leaves fell without reason. Inside, the smells of earth, rotting wood, and death mingled. Here they believed the unseen world met theirs. They walked slowly, making no sound, sharp stones in their hands, ready to be used at any moment. Suddenly one of them stopped. He saw something among the roots of a large tree. A necklace made of small bones hung from a bush. It belonged to the missing girl. Not far away they found her. The girl sat on the ground, her eyes open but empty. She was alive, but her soul seemed to have been left behind. In her hand she held something, a flat stone with scratches, as if someone had carved it. But it wasn't her. The leader reached for it slowly, staring at the carving. Not a recognizable shape, but circular patterns, crisscrossing like the paths of stars. None of them knew what they meant. But one thing was certain. The stone was not from this forest. Nor was it the work of any group they knew. They returned with the girl, but no one spoke. The fire was still burning when they emerged from the morning mist. The group greeted them with hugs and looks of relief, but the girl remained silent. Until the next night. That night, she stood alone in the center of the fire circle and spoke for the first time. Her voice was low but firm. She pointed toward the rising sun. She pointed to the stone in her hand. Then she said a word they had never heard before. The word had no meaning, but everyone's bodies responded. It was as if they knew. The next day, without a single question, they packed their things and set off in the direction she pointed. Behind their footsteps, the world remained wild. But inside them something had changed. A message, perhaps, or a warning. No one knew for sure. But somewhere in the forest, voices still whispered. And the stones still held secrets untold.